What streams I peaked in high school. Hanging out with kids in high school after high school. We had a guy we nicknamed Pedo Dave. He was like 30 and still f***ing around with freshmen and sophomore girls. Man, that guy was sleazy as fuck. I keep getting older, they stay the same age. Want to earn money from home and set your own hours? Dying before graduation. Dark. Turn the lights on then. Teachers who suck up to the athletes and other popular kids and ignore the less popular kids. My freshman year Spanish teacher was like that. Filming yourself running drills and throwing footballs off camera in front of your van/mobile home. Dropping out of college to promote your pyramid scheme. A guy who graduated from my high school back in 2003 was arrested a few years ago for his second DUI. He was wearing his Letterman jacket in his mugshot. I picked up some stuff at my parents' house when I was 25. One of those things is my Letterman's jacket. Put it on, got in the car, had to stop for gas. Who happens to be filling their car next to mine? My high school wrestling coach. I wonder how much of a loser he thought I was. I wasn't even that good. I dated a guy with his high school mascot tattooed on his arm. It was such a turn-off. The fighting swastikas wasn't actually a thing, but you still have every reason to be turned off. Partying with high schoolers when you're 30. I can't imagine this. I'm 32 and high schoolers seemed ridiculously young to me after about 23. It's strange because when you're 18 you enjoy hanging out with people that age. But when you're 23 like me, high school kids are literally stupid, loud and just irritating. We used to play indoor floor hockey in a loft room in the big gym of my middle school. One game I scored 3 goals, one of them being a bank shot off the wall. The next year I wrote about the game for an assignment in English class and the teacher read it to the class the next day. I'm not sure which one was my peak. Oh, bless your heart. Sharing every memory from Facebook talking about the good old days and wish we could go back when it's only been a few years since graduation. I do the opposite, I delete half the memories. Same, I blocked most of my memories of high school. Still bullying the nerds at your 10-year reunion. Or worse, in real life. I briefly worked with a guy I went to high school with, and like 90% of our not work-related conversations were him reminiscing about how much he'd bullied me in high school, and acting like it was all a big joke. Imagine being that sad. No thanks, I have enough of my own depression. Selling pot to teenagers and then trying to get them to stay and smoke with you. I mean, I met someone who's going to be one of my groomsmen like this. Sold the kid weed and he seemed pretty cool, so we ended up smoking and playing fighting games for most of the afternoon. Still one of my best friends, almost a decade later. Me, in a horrid realization, in the back of my 92 Camaro while icing that knee I blew out at the championship game senior year, reading through the divorce papers. Sounds like a Matt Damon movie produced by Adam Sandler and the mum from Gilmore Girls is the ex-wife. You have a future in Hollywood. At my 10-year reunion, the prom queen came wearing a tiara with a custom Queen 03 sash over her shoulder. I had to go outside, I was laughing so hard. But I'll be damned if she didn't rock that outfit the whole time, so respect. Still sad though. Still bragging about high school basketball games from 10 years ago. I know a guy who still brags about middle school select soccer games. He doesn't appear to have so much as jogged since then. He's 30. As someone who recently graduated, the students who returned to the school every time they came home from school just so people would pay attention to them. Also, not sure how to explain it, but people who now post blank screens and just text on my Snapchat stories that just say things like, "Always crazy to see who you can really trust when XYZ happens," or "Surprising to see who really cares about you when you need friends the most." Like I said, I don't know how to explain it, but there's definitely a correlation. When I was in high school, this guy a year before me had a fearsome reputation. At house parties, people would fear him by just name alone. He would show up to parties with his cronies and start fights. He came from a decent enough family. Everyone wanted to be on his good side. Anyway, he graduates high school and most of us were still in 12th grade. I remember he used to come around lunchtime to smoke with the people out front, shoot the breeze and talk about how much fun it is to just sleep in and do nothing and have all this freedom. A couple of months of, "Oh cool," to, "Why are you still here?" as we awkwardly shuffled back to class. Selling your pyramid scheme essential oils on Facebook? My cousin uses her daughter's birthday party to sell my grandma and aunt's shitty purses. I went to a school with a girl whose parents graduated from our high school 20 years prior. All 4 members of their family got the school's logo tattooed. Her boyfriend still goes to the football games and reposts his game highlights on Instagram. We're all 21/22. I'm from New Mexico and live in the largest city in the state. We've never had a good high school football team, and the boyfriend usually goes to pick up underage girls and brags to everyone about how he was the star football player. If someone from another team makes a really good play, he'll make some kind of remark about how he could have done it better, or he'll go into detail about his JV football experience. Still wearing your Letterman jacket and class ring in your 30s. Number 2. Talking about high school sports games from a different decade as if they meant something. Number 3. Still living in your hometown and looking forward to that night at the bar just before Thanksgiving when everyone who left comes home. So you can talk about high school stuff to the people who have grown up and have real lives now. That last one is oddly specific. This is a legit small town thing. Making any mention of SAT or ACT scores. Bonus points for that IQ test you took when you were a kid online. One summer I was doing an internship and introduced myself to a fellow intern. He told me his name and SAT score and then asked me what my score had been. He seemed shocked when I said I couldn't remember anymore. I was like, dude, we're in grad school. The class that graduated before me had their 10-year reunion last year, and apparently a big fight broke out over something that happened when they were all still in high school. I guess that is one way to tell if someone peaked in high school. Pretty embarrassing. Always showing up to the football field wearing your Letterman jacket years after you barely passed summer school in order to graduate. Anyone that still wears their Letterman jacket after high school. That jacket was expensive and also super warm and comfortable. Kind of a shame it's in the back of a closet now. God damn, this is why I hate this answer. I spent a ton of money, especially with all of the patches and stuff I got put on that thing. It's 10 years ago now, but I've never had a more comfortable jacket. And I think that thing is my second most expensive article of clothing, behind a full suit. I just wish I had realised back then that I would never wear it again and it totally wasn't worth it. Working at Scoops Ahoy. Constantly sharing stuff about how great they were at high school football. When I was in high school, the cool kids partied hard. They would get blackout drunk and used whatever illegal substances they could get. I was looking through the profiles of some of those classmates and a few of them are still doing the same shit. Talking gangster shit despite growing up in a middle class suburb. Talking about how they miss their kids who are in CPS custody because they went to jail for using. Going on rants about narcs, etc. They're about 27 or 28. What made you cool in high school makes you a loser as a grown-ass adult, especially when you're a parent. A guy graduated 2 years before me in 2006. He got a job as a school narc in my senior year. Basically a job that is somewhere below security and barely a step above student. We had our 10-year reunion last year in the school gymnasium, and there he was, with his sunglasses on at 8 PM, sporting a sweet Flavor Saver and Dickies shorts, with his black socks pulled up to his knees, as was the fashion for all the bros at my high school when we attended. He was making his rounds, trying to enforce every single rule that was imposed on students. Meanwhile, we are all 27 to 29 years old, and nobody is taking his shit. Eventually someone told him, "You were a fucking tool in high school and nothing has changed. Get lost, narc." He then started listing every girl he boned in high school. It was hard watching that guy spiral so hard while everyone was laughing at him. People who say high school is the best time of your life. Yeah, but one of those cool things about high school is you get to see most, if not all of your friends every day. Can't say the same about adulthood. One strap. Everybody knows 2 straps is the thing now. High school, I peaked in elementary school and it was all downhill from there. There I was, on stage in front of the whole elementary school, and I just won the spelling bee. I felt like it was the start of something great. Narrator: it wasn't. I peaked at the sperm race. It's been downhill since then.